Overthinking will destroy you. Watch this before it's too late. Overthinking in life, a journey through the mind. Overthinking is a common struggle that many people experience at various points in their lives. It is the act of thinking too much, analyzing situations excessively, and replaying past events or future possibilities in one's mind. While introspection and reflection can be beneficial, overthinking can lead to anxiety, stress, and indecision. It is like a storm in the mind, constantly swirling with thoughts that never seem to settle. The roots of overthinking. Overthinking often stems from a deep-seated fear of making mistakes, failing, or not meeting expectations. It can be rooted in past experiences, where negative outcomes have reinforced the belief that excessive analysis is necessary to avoid pain. For some, it develops as a coping mechanism to regain control in uncertain situations. For others, it is an innate tendency, amplified by an anxious mind. As a child, I was always praised for being thoughtful and analytical. I would spend hours trying to solve puzzles, think through scenarios, and anticipate every possible consequence of my actions. While this trait initially seemed like an advantage, it soon became a burden. I started overanalyzing friendships, schoolwork, and every little decision I made. If I answered a question wrong in class, I would replay the moment repeatedly, dissecting where I went wrong. If a friend took longer than usual to reply to a message, I would convince myself that I had done something to upset them. The downward spiral. As I grew older, overthinking became an ingrained part of my life. Every decision, no matter how small, felt like it carried immense weight. When choosing a career path, I made countless pros and cons lists, researched every possible outcome, and sought advice from everyone I knew. Yet, instead of feeling more confident, I became paralyzed by the endless possibilities. The fear of choosing the wrong path overshadowed any excitement I might have felt about the future. Relationships suffered too. I would read into every word, every pause, and every action, trying to decipher hidden meanings that often didn't exist. I doubted people's intentions, second-guessed my own words, and replayed conversations in my head long after they had ended. Overthinking became an invisible wall that separated me from truly experiencing life as it happened. The breaking point. One evening, after spending hours agonizing over a decision, I realized how exhausted I was. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. My mind was a battlefield, constantly engaged in a war of what-ifs and should-haves. I was missing out on the present moment because I was too preoccupied with analyzing the past and predicting the future. I knew I had to make a change. I started researching ways to quiet the mind and break free from the cycle of overthinking. I learned about mindfulness, meditation, and the importance of letting go of the need for control. It wasn't easy, but with time, I began implementing small changes. I practiced focusing on the present moment, reminding myself that not every thought needed to be dissected. I challenged my negative thinking patterns and replaced them with self-compassion and rationality. The path to healing. Overcoming overthinking is a journey, not a destination. It requires consistent effort and self-awareness. I learned that perfection is an illusion and that mistakes are a natural part of life. I started journaling to process my thoughts instead of letting them run wild in my head. I set time limits for decision-making, forcing myself to trust my instincts rather than overanalyzing every possible outcome. I also surrounded myself with supportive people who reminded me that not every action needs to be scrutinized. Talking to friends, family, and even therapists helped me gain perspective. They reassured me that overthinking was not a reflection of intelligence or responsibility, but rather a habit that could be changed with time and effort. Embracing uncertainty. Life is inherently uncertain. No amount of overthinking can change that. I learned to accept that I cannot predict or control every outcome, and that's okay. Instead of fearing the unknown, I started embracing it. I began making decisions with confidence, trusting that I would handle whatever came my way. Now, when my mind starts to spiral, I pause and remind myself, not every thought deserves your energy. I take a deep breath, focus on the present, and let go of the need for absolute certainty. Conclusion. Overthinking can steal joy, peace, and spontaneity from life. But it doesn't have to define us. By learning to quiet the mind, embrace the present, and let go of unnecessary worries, we can reclaim our lives from the grip of overthinking. The journey isn't always easy, but it is undoubtedly worth it. Because life is meant to be lived, not just analyzed.